Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to an ARZ matchup for the ages. Today we have two epic RTSL Division 1 competitors in Bartosz Wróbel and Jarib Flores, names that we all recognize. And in the booth today, it's me, your pal Francie Pants, or Peter Frantz, and I'm joined by Aidan Archer. Aidan, say hello.
Very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. Great to be back here in the RZ booth with you, and very much looking forward to this game. Bartosz and Jarib, top players. I think Jarib, actually, this is an RTSL match, I believe, and Jarib as yet undefeated. So be excited to see if Bartosz can break his stride.
Yeah, and what do you think of this opening hand? I am inclined to like it.
Plenty of 4-ops, they're always happy. A little bit constrained, Middle East scoring is always nice to control as the Soviet. A little bit constrained in headlines. It's really only a purge, so defectors would be unfortunate, but I can't see a better option, really.
Yeah, I mean, if you were worried about defectors, you might just headline blockade. If he has destall, he's dumping it. But if you like living on the wild side, the risky side, I would definitely go with purge here.
Yes, unfortunately, you want to play blockade on turn 2 as much as possible, so UN might just be played for a single op, which is unfortunate. Doesn't look like there's a martial opening, so NATO you should be able to get away with scot-free.
Yep. And he does go with purge, and there's not defectors, so we, as Bartosz, have managed to get that off. NATO coup of Iran, I suspect, and oh, that's not what you want to see.
Oh, it's not a pretty start. The hand's starting to look a little bit weak already.
And Jarib goes right ahead and events that containment on his AR1. So worried about blockade, perhaps, wanting to space decall. There's a few reasons there.
Yes, it does really neuter the blockade. That would have been something that would have been a little more interesting to headline with your opponent under purge. But after the containment, might be a hold for turn 2. So yeah, UN for ops perhaps. Just try to get Middle East scoring out safely and then position in Asia, I guess.
Yeah, so that our pretty solid starting hand was countered well by Jarib. Our 2 4-ops are missing. He's no longer, in essence, no longer purged, and that big 4-op coup rolled a 1 on Iran. So it looked like a promising start, but now we don't have a whole lot of ops left.
He has, I mean, at least he didn't spread out from Iran, so it might be worth returning to the Iran coup. But yes, I can see that Bartosz is obviously considering his options now as ops start to run out and his previous play has been cancelled. Yes, I guess really just establishing some sort of presence in the Middle East would be pretty much essential at this stage.
Yeah, I kind of like the Kamakan coup of Iran here before he does spread out, but then after that, we really have 5 ops left for the rest of the turn and a scoring, so we're going to be pretty ops poor. He's just going to take Iran. Yeah, okay. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's actually not such a bad option. I mean, it is always good to remove your opponent's influence. But I mean, cooing is a dicey prospect, and Jarib is famous for being a little bit shy of the dice. Clearly works for him, but we'll see whether or not that is just legend or no. He's avoiding the coup. He's going to spread out from there.
Yeah, there's a 4-op that he could have dumped to blockade even if he hadn't played containment. So that's interesting there.
It always feels bad.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like that containment probably worth it. Oh, and he goes for the coup. Bartosz goes for the coup of Malaysia and hits, giving himself at least a temporary Asia dom. But like I said, we have
Certainly worth the
3
threat.
ops left and a scoring, so let's make sure we get that Middle East out as soon as possible, in his situation anyway.
Also, once Korean War drops, he really want to have at least some influence in South Korea, or that would be an easy pickup for Jarib. Um, are you thinking maybe a China card? Is this a China card situation?
Oh gosh, I mean, I guess we could hold UN and risk. I mean, maybe we get D-stall, so blockade less useful. But if we play China card, I'd definitely want to hold UN.
Yeah, that would be the reason to hold UN and blockade. They took the scoring there very sensibly, and that is now spaceable thanks to containment. Good to see Decol go.
Yes, so that makes me think that he does also have D-stall. I guess not necessarily, because he could have dropped nuclear test ban, but then he'd have to give decall, so it makes sense. Oh, big China card coup as you proposed, and it hits on Pakistan.
Yes, Bartosz much more willing to play with the dice. Now it looks like this is probably a good situation now for the counter coup from Jarib, wanting to drop two and protect Egypt. Let's see what he does.
Nope, just trying to stop that Dom. Okay. He's thinking Bartosz has Asia, no doubt. So now, coup with blockade. We put two in. Okay. Now he could just take South Korea, though. I don't know. Maybe he thinks Jarib
Certainly working
has
for him. I mean,
Asia.
he's done well to get influence into India.
Okay, he's going to coup, get his mill ops. Makes sense. And, ooh, big six. Be especially big if Middle East hadn't already been scored, but it's big as it is.
Yes, an essential coup there. I mean, the other option would have been to, I guess, Bartosz could have pushed into West Germany or something like that, threatened France, but he certainly got himself a good position in Asia. This hand, decent-ish, not a whole lot. No, none of those four ups you'd love to see. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, again, Defectors is out there. I'd probably go with Nasser here in case of Defectors. It's okay getting that back in the deck. I'm also really worried about IP war here. That's another thing that was accomplished by that Iran coup. Is now we're very vulnerable in Pakistan.
Yes, the early war wars are indeed quite swingy. So, would you be going into trying to get into Afghanistan, provide some protection for Pakistan? Is that what you'd be thinking? Because there's no option of like taking India.
Yeah, well, I'd want to get into India at the very least, just in case he does get Pakistan, because we might be able to take it eventually, or at least be able to uh, maneuver from there. But it's a Marshall Plan headline. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, that's possibly an indicator that he doesn't have IP war. Would you have headlined IP war over
I
Marshall
I
or
cert
Marshall over IP?
I definitely would have headlined IP war just to make sure that Bartosz didn't have a chance to spread before it went off. But he also probably suspects Bartosz is going to coup here, so he could have another chance if he has IP war. Bartosz, would you go Panama here? Would you try to hit Egypt so you have free access to Libya? Would you play duck and cover to take Libya?
Yeah, I mean, duck and cover, it's sometimes tempting, but for 3 victory points, you'd have to be pretty short on ops to
Yeah.
make that really seem worthwhile. And particularly now that blockade isn't guaranteed to sort of flush out D spell, I'd be and having a UN in hand, I'd be very tempted to go for Panama. It might be your only chance to get access into the Americas.
Yeah, well, at your recommendation, I agree that we should event blockade before the end here. So if he has D-stall, although Harib does now have China card, so he could still hold D-stall if he had another card to give to blockade. And okay, yes, Bartosz gets a big roll on Panama. So
Well,
now,
some clues are coming in for you.
yeah, so if we have IP war, you want to get it off as soon as possible, but I think he's going to take Libya first, probably Iran as well. Not Iran, I meant India, but no, he's not doing that.
Yeah, interesting. I would have thought that South Korea was an option unless he's given up on Asia entirely. And he hasn't tried to convert Europe, so I'm suspecting that he has the Europe scoring card. That certainly would have been a place I would have liked to have got ops in if I had the opportunity. And with a 4-up, I would have expected the opportunity.
Yeah. 2 4-ops here. Bartosz had 2 turn 1, and now Jarib shows his first 2 cards as 4-ops. And a 5-year plan. Okay. Pretty happy to give up on India here. I guess he's probably worried about IP war as well.
Yes, it does look like IP war is nowhere to be seen, and I'm calling Jarib with Europe scoring here. He was a bit lackadaisical about taking domination there. And after
Yep.
Marshall, he'll pretty there we go. As for he's also quite keen on spreading in Africa, which is a good call. Yeah, I think Jarib has completely abandoned Asia.
Yeah, that's an interesting strategy. When things look pretty good in the other 2 early war regions, and even in Africa, maybe sometimes it's worth throwing in the towel. But he does have it, and it gets scored, and now that's 8 points.
Yes, so I guess yeah, I mean, blockade's got to come out one way or another. I'm not so keen, particularly after the Panama coup. I'm not as keen with blockade to try and grab D style. Um, I don't know if I'd event Fidel or spread with it.
I think I would take presence in Middle East here if we're going to event blockade. I still like eventing blockade. Um, D-Stall may be his only card like really worth giving to it. And if he does give to it, he might have to give China card back in order to keep D-Stall. If he gives like Warsaw or something. So I don't mind giving blockade, and if we do, then yeah, I like this, taking presence back in the Middle East.
There is the Gaul and Socialist that you might be just clearing out of his hand for him. So I don't know. I personally would probably play blockade for ops and turn it into a little bit of a headache for the mid war.
Yeah, the other problem here would be EEU leaving us presenceless in Europe if there's a redraw of it. So Bartosz pretty exposed to that. He might get Comic-Con or Warsaw here, but no guarantees.
It definitely would be appreciated. Yes, presence list in Europe is seen pretty hard.
Okay, so De Gaulle gets played, Sockgovs gets dropped. So he didn't have D-Stall. He's holding China card. Not what Bartosz wanted to see. But he did get D-Stall with defectors and IP war. So Asia seems pretty solid for a while, and we could, if we wanted to, actually headline D-Stall as well.
Well, yes, with defectors out, D-Style is a potential headline, and yeah, I mean, so the CIA is in the opponent's hand. I don't know if Harry would headline that, knowing that defectors D-Style is in Bartosz's hand. Um, yeah, I think I'd be quite concerned about the Americas at this stage. I was also slightly surprised that he dropped Socialist and evented De Gaulle. I really don't like you offering that point of influence to the Soviets in France, particularly when Algeria is still open.
Yeah, it's true, but if Bartosz coups, then maybe Harib's thinking he can get to it first anyway. The one good thing about that is you're taking a card out of the deck permanently, versus if you did it the other way around, De Gaulle and Socialist would both be back.
And De Gaulle is a very annoying card to have to manage later on in the game.
Yep.
Constantly keep France so heavily overprotected.
That is true. So going with the D-Stall. And he gets
Would you
purged.
say? Oh, yes.
Okay. A little bit of a greedy D-Stall.
Oh, I'm a big fan of going into Mexico. Causes lots of problems.
It does. He does get the coup. Okay, so is Jarib going to take Algeria here? Or is he going to do realigns before Bartosz gets to Brazil? Which one do you like? Or something else?
Uh, well, I do agree, actually. The hero realized this is the moment for it. And if you have the ops, I I am a big fan of the realigns. But it does mean giving up Mexico. It does mean giving up Algeria, potentially. I mean, Bartosz is under purge, so it's not easy for him to take both of those. Yeah, tricky call. Let's see, Harib, as I said earlier, a little bit shy of throwing the dice, but if you really do want to do something about the South American situation.
Yeah. I think IP War, Defectors known. I think Formosan and Suez known. I think he played Suez before. It might be Defectors, IP War, and Formosan only. Okay. Big 4-op card. Does a little bit of everything, including going to Iraq, which I did not see as an option here.
Yeah, no, that was unexpected for me as well. Like 1 point into Mexico is a good response there. That gives you the option to move into Guatemala and makes the Mexico gambit a little bit less potent. But yeah, definitely taking Algeria was a clear option there. He could still set himself up for Africa domination on turn 4.
Okay. Bartosz responds by getting 1 into Brazil and taking Mexico. I don't know how I feel about taking Mexico here because I don't think he's going to want to give Bartosz. He doesn't want to give Jarib Milops, and Jarib can just go to Colombia. Was it Nicaragua and realign him out? So I assume that's what's going to happen. I might have started feeling more of South America instead of taking Mexico.
Yes, Harib doesn't seem too excited by the option of realignments, but yeah, I agree with you. I'd want to be spreading you. You do want to protect yourself against the VOA on turn 4. That can be devastating when you've had such a nice D-star. And under Purge, his Bartosz's ops are quite limited, so he's going to have to spend a fair amount of time getting things happening in South America.
Yep. He does have 5 battlegrounds in Asia at this point. Another slight quibble I would have with Bartosz here, kind of going back a little bit, is that he didn't have to take everything out of Romania to do his D-stall. Like Panama's overprotected, Pakistan's overprotected. He has ops in other places. So I'm just because like you never know, and like a Sokgovs could flip Dom or something. I just not a huge thing. Probably not that important to dwell on, but just something that I noticed. He does have extra ops, and there is that op to Nicaragua. So we'll see if Jarib does the realign here. Or
Guatemala, for those that are a little bit more, and then misses, unfortunately, but does get some more mill.
yeah,
Or, sorry, denies mill ops with
denies
that
mill
miss,
ops,
which
but
is
does give a point from defectors, which was going to happen anyway. And Jarib doesn't realign. He uses maybe he wants to get cooed again.
I think he does. But yeah, when you're under purge, it's certainly worthwhile spending the extra influence to take those 1-ops with a 3, or those 1 stability countries with battlegrounds with a 3.
For sure. But we are going into the mid-war with the northern part of South America not VOA proof. Let's see how these realigns go here. Oh man, out in 1. Hate to see that, but that's why I don't know. I think with our precious commodity of ops, I wouldn't have wasted them on Mexico there. But again, I'm not as good of a player as these guys are. So, and we get
Well, he
liberation
did get
theology. So there you go.
unfortunately unlucky.
Yeah.
Muslim, unfortunately, for a post-scored sort of environment, not as helpful. Not a very high ops hand. Puppet governments, nice to control that, nice to not have see your opponent headline that, though it is already late with a lot of middle being filled out. What would you... Is Lone Gunman a realistic headline? No.
I like this. I like liberation theology. Get back into Mexico, probably get into Cuba. I don't know if Fidel is back in the deck somewhere, but you never know. Jarib might be planning to space it here. Could also...
Would you consider putting a point in Guatemala as part of this, as a sort of protection for your influence in Mexico?
Yeah, actually, yes. I think one Mexico, one Guatemala, and one Cuba makes sense. But we get bear trapped, so I think I'd still do the same thing, but he is gonna not do Cuba. Gets out in one. Okay.
That's certainly a relief. And now, of course, it's not a bad sort of situation, because he does have the coup response, so he will be able to get Mexico back. Slightly surprised that he didn't put a point in Cuba. I mean, threatening Central America control is really quite potent.
Okay, but now Jarib is threatening Africa control. Now, Bartosz could flip Nigeria right here, and he could overprotect it if he wanted
It feels like a Nigeria flip. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much whether I'd be using Muslim or NATO. Special relationship, is that gone?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it has to respond to Africa control.
Yeah, but I might have put that extra op into Mexico instead of overprotecting, because maybe Jarib doesn't have a 4-op here. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it is a tough one. Which is more valuable to you? I do feel that, with the second 4-op in hand, I would be tempted to sort of only not overprotect in Nigeria.
And this is another reason why putting that extra op in Cuba might have been useful, because now basically that libs didn't do anything. Well, nothing really happened. We still have one African battleground, and the situation in Central America is pretty much the same. So players essentially cancel each other out.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's I guess South America control would be something that he wants to take.
Yeah.
Yes, Central America. I mean, you can hope for Fidel at this stage. It is nice to be overprotected in Panama, though it's an absolute doozy of a brushwood target. But yeah, I'd certainly be considering what to do in South America. You'd want South America control shortly.
Yes.
By the end of the turn, at the very least.
Okay.
Yes, lib theory for naught is unfortunate. Sometimes you just have to preserve some position in Africa.
Okay, and now Jarib decides he wants to fight for Asia. That is interesting.
Cultural revolution in hand, perhaps. But yes, fighting for Asia. I guess was there another region to go for?
Well, I don't know about another region. He could have taken South Korea with China if he'd wanted. It's a little risky with Korean War unevented, but the 4-op basically stops him in his tracks. But yes, you're right. He does have cultural, so that makes sense. And setting up Dom here in Africa. Okay.
Yes, he's going to be fighting for all of those 1-ops. I tend to find in this situation I'd like to put 2 in Botswana. I think Botswana can be key to holding South Africa, potentially helps protect Angola, etc.
Yep, for sure.
a little bit more coup resistant as well for your domination.
Yeah, I can realign him out potentially if he goes for Angola. Bartosz also needs to, I would say, needs to get one more into Venezuela here. VOA proof and just don't want to be broken by Panama Canal.
And I don't know here. I mean, I see a lot of players hang on for Allende and hope for that to happen before anything else. I don't know. Is all of this pressure in Africa? Is he going to keep having to respond there and never get a chance to show up South America?
This might be part of Jarib's plan here, just to keep him preoccupied until he's able to do something about South America.
Well, he certainly convinced him if he is going to go for that coup. You have Comic-Con later on. I mean, I guess IP War you can hold forever and a day.
Okay, decide to coup again. Now is Jarib going to coup back?
Now, another thing I tend to do myself in the Americas is sometimes take Uruguay as well. Some people don't like it because it offers a coup, but I do like to have the potential for domination if you lose position.
So he does fill the bottom part of South America. Jarib gets temporary dom there in Africa. Ooh, a hand without anything higher than a 2-op. Not ideal.
No, I think he might be spending a lot of time cooing one-offs in Africa this time. But some decent events. I mean, Fidel you want to see before Central America's going, and that could, you might get a decent coup into Mexico. There's also concerns about potential grain sales and other sorts of things. But I think, I don't know, I'd be probably leaning towards a Fidel headline here. At least set myself up for the opportunity for a domination in Central America.
On the other hand, South African unrest stops domination in Africa, which it looks like Bartosz is going for here.
I'd play the scoring card I have, not the one I'm worried about.
Yeah, it's true, but you can do that at your own leisure. You can event Fidel later and get Central out. Ooh, is this going to Venezuela and Brazil?
Well, what are the scoring cards? Does Jarib want to? Yeah, he's going to do it.
Not like we didn't say that, but yeah, he has been preoccupied in other places. Okay, gets the coup on Zaire. Interesting.
He will be able to UN Panama, so at least he hasn't handed over South America, the northern part of South America to Jarib.
Special.
How are you managing your Central America scoring?
Yeah, so definitely event Fidel, and if we're UNing Panama, which I think is the right move, probably I guess Camp David to Nicaragua and Haiti if we don't get realigned out right away. Or we just...
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
We
a special relationship looks like it has to go to space as well.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to play that. We could also, if he doesn't realign us out, just be happy with a 2-point central. But
yeah, with the score even, I do as the Soviet would really like to get ahead on the scoreboard. I feel that time is against the Soviet. If you go into late war even on score, it can be the US has a lot of options in the late war.
Yeah. The problem here is ops. We don't have a lot of ops. So maybe this is part of his plan. Event Fidel, hope you don't get cooed in Guatemala, and you can drop the dom that way, drop the scoring that way.
Yeah, he's still got a couple of turns to get presence back in the Middle East.
Yeah. Well, oh, that's also something you don't want to see, but I think he's going to go to south. Yep. So not getting that extra op into Venezuela is going to cost him uh, a boatload of points here. On the bright side, Panama Canal is now playable. Oh,
That is Brad. Oof.
that really hurts. Okay. Wow, things have taken
Yeah,
a
dumped the scoring.
sharp turn here, turn 5.
Yes, yes. I mean, Panama is a classic coup target. There's not much you really can do about it. But yes, it has freed up Panama Canal as a card. Yay! There's your one op. Get to save you in for nothing in particular.
Yep. But we definitely wanted to have control in south, not splitting it. So good job by Jarib to keep Bartosz preoccupied in Africa last turn, so he didn't put that extra op in Venezuela and use that VOA to full effect.
Yeah, curious now. I guess I mean one of the advantages of playing UN onto Panama, I guess, is that you increase your draw. There's not so many cards that the Soviet is interested in UNing in the mid-war.
Oh man, if he hits Asia here, that's going to be very, very sad for Bartosz. Or even Southeast Asia, because that may not come back at all.
Honestly, I would consider dropping most of the scoring. South America, Africa's
Yep,
risky
yep,
to hold on to.
for sure. Just keep Europe around is probably his thinking. But we have seen gunmen, if I'm not mistaken. Quagmire.
Gunman is gone.
See, Portuguese still around. We will bury you, I believe. Flower power. Okay, YouTube Brezhnev salt. Not so effective there, but I'm sure Bartosz happy not to see Asia.
I think Bartosz is very happy not to see any of those cards. So yeah, grain sales is definitely going to be coming up too. So Africa might still be in on the table for a Harib domination.
Jarib also has headline peak here, which is going to be interesting in case we see a ABM or something. Protecting that Angola makes sense here. He knows what's on the table. Oh boy, 3 scorings here. We did get ABM. Now, is Defectors around? Do we know where that
That's
is?
a great question. Missile Envy is certainly around.
Missile Envy, yeah.
So that
I think we have to
you
have
might
an
be. This
ABM
might be a
then.
forced ABM.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and
If that gets Defector, that's depressing, but kind of have to do it.
it does help you get Africa scoring. Um, so that's a positive. If you can coup effectively into Angola, he might be able to get domination in Africa. South America could be a dom for Harib if things fall badly.
Yeah. We also have both U.S. China card events. I think I would be inclined to hold Alliance here, because that could become pretty costly, and we can space it next turn. Probably give up China. If you give Surrey, then he's never going to be able to, attack your battlegrounds in Asia with it. All right, so we're going to see Missile Envy. We're going to see Defectors. Junta's around. Junta would be brutal here, too, with South America in our hand. Okay, Missile Envy. I think I give Usuri here.
So do you? Yeah, Syria is definitely the one to give here. There's no way you're giving the points on Alliance of Progress or a coup. That would be unacceptable, particularly with South America and Africa all there ready to go.
Assuming that happens, we have 2 coups. Oh, big roll up there. That's interesting. You might get realigned out now. But interesting. How do you feel about that? I might have gone for Angola, but I assume Bartosz is thinking he'll get the coup with missile envy on Angola and hopefully flip that.
Yes, I think it is aggressive, and that's possibly the right thing to do. I feel that Bartosz, the board isn't looking. I mean, it's fairly even, but it's not looking great for Bartosz. I'd really like to, in his shoes, I'd like to start getting some dominations back onto the board. So yeah, let's see what he rolls.
Not high enough. Interesting. Another option there might have been to give Sakgovs, let Jarib coup Zaire or something. He still wouldn't have Africa. He would have another battleground, but then we would be able to coup Colombia that way and get our South America domination. I think
Yes,
we might get realigned out now, and that's going to be depressing for Bartosz if so. But he'll still be able to drop
he
Africa
just doesn't have.
a little bit less. Go ahead.
Yeah, for just one point. Yeah, and it is sorry. It is just. I mean, he doesn't have many cards to fight a coup war in Colombia, so he'd better get lucky and quickly.
Oh, that is a good play, an aggressive one. And again, Jarib knows when to press buttons. He's not giving Bartosz any opportunity to let up. He has to drop Asia for Dom. He has to drop Africa for -1, and he wants to get Dom in South, but I don't know how likely that's going to be to happen. 3 scoring cards, man, that really limits your opportunities here.
Yeah, no, I did like that. That was a good use of that card, definitely, particularly with Southeast Asia yet to score. Did prevent that coup, the coup on Colombia, or at least make it very costly. But yes, I mean, definitely running out of actual actions Bartosz can play before he has to start dropping scoring cards like they're hot.
Bartosz, no doubt. I mean, he could have dropped Asia there to get to full effects, but he doesn't want to lose Thailand for Southeast Asia points. And ooh, holding strong. Oh man, the dice gave him hope for a moment, and then they dashed it. I
So
think he just
tantalizing. So tantalizing.
yeah, he dropped that first before he fills.
Yeah, South America scoring. Then I guess Africa. I mean, you're not going to push. You don't have the ops to push in Africa, so I guess Africa gets dropped after this.
Yeah, I think that's okay. Jarib probably has Southeast here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he's counting the battlegrounds too. You might want to do Asia
I
now
mean,
because
if
it's 7 to
a
5.
good flip there.
Okay. Yeah, but if Jarib takes Burma and Afghanistan, we're losing out on our Asia dom. I think I would have done Asia first after that flip.
Yeah, Asia's actually now under threat. He could body block it with 3
And
ops.
that's
So
exactly what
let's
he's going
see
to
what
do.
goes on.
Ugh. He could also spend China if he wants to. Bartosz really wants this Asia dom. I think he would have done that first because Africa wasn't going to change.
No, Africa was not under threat. Asia was. Might be a bit of a misplay. These games are 45 minutes, and we're their timers are half and half each, so they're being pretty measured about their use of time, but it can start to impact your thinking.
Yeah. And oh, it looks like he's going to get
Yes,
that Asia
particularly
dom
with
after
5
all.
battlegrounds, you're really.
That is really scary in Europe, though. With Europe is still to come too. Jarib might play it here. We'll see. Otherwise, nope. Maybe he's going to be fishing for Europe. Southeast, good to get rid of. Korean War. And now I think we play Nixon. Probably put 2 back in Poland, or would you do something different? Could also coup Colombia.
The Columbia coup is an interesting threat. I'd be slightly concerned about East Germany, to be honest. I would very much consider overprotecting East Germany.
Yeah, that's a good
Like
point.
just at least 1 point there.
Yeah, with a known Europe just around the corner, possibly right here after that Kennedy play, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes, as you mentioned earlier, presence in Europe is a very hefty scoring to suffer.
Interesting. So is he gonna coup with that? Event it for 3. Maybe he'll take. Okay, he does coup. He needed his mill ops. Oh, but we get Junta. We redraw ABM. We get Salt. This is a pretty solid hand. It does have a bunch of blue cards, but we can also event NORAD before we Quagmire. So I don't mind this at all.
Yes, I guess is Defectors now a known card? Does that make things a little bit awkward all round?
I don't remember for sure. It certainly could be. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Well, yes, particularly going into headline peaking. Otherwise, I mean, if you knew, I mean, Defectors is still a potential redraw, even if it's not known. I mean, Junta would be a potential sort of into Brazil, Venezuela, and reclaim South America.
Yep.
But aside from that, I mean, there's not. I mean, if Defectors is a real threat, ABM treaty is not great. Missile Envy we have seen. Quagmire you don't want a headline beforehand. Salt, is that your headline?
There's nothing to Salt, so that's. I mean, it's a possible headline, but just to kind of play against Defect. I think that's the power of Defectors, especially into peak, is really scaring Bartosz and making him headline things that aren't quite as powerful. I think I would just go with Junta. I mean, it'll probably get defectored, but we'll still get 2
At
coups with
least it will.
ABM.
That is true. I mean, your other option is to do something like headline something like the DAT or something that it feels very weak to do that. But so that is getting played at some point or other.
Yeah. So which of
He
these
hasn't
cards are
fixed his
known?
position in Middle East.
Yeah, Middle East, just brutal if Jarib redrew that one.
Jarib is holding Europe and Southeast Asia scoring. That much we know for
No,
sure. The rest,
Southeast Asia he dumped to Kennedy, so he has Europe, but we don't know any other scorings.
that's correct. Well remembered.
I think I'd go with Junta here, but
Well, you read his mind. Let's see what Jarib had after all. Who was card counting?
yes, where is Defectors? Is it known? We are not counting, clearly. So
No, we rather rely on our producer, Anton Scott, to provide us with the opponent's hand, but that's
okay.
not always available.
So it looks like it was not known. Must have come out turn 3. I agree with this. I was just going to say, yeah, coup Colombia, and then take another coup here, and then, okay, so things were looking pretty scary for a moment, but we just managed to get 2 dominations in a headline and an AR. So good job to Bartosz for turning the tables here.
And he has ABM still in his hand. He can control special relationships, so that never scores any VPs in this game. That's quite nice. Yeah, no, I think Bartosz has got himself into a better position, though. The board and points are still pretty dicey.
Yeah, so
He's got to fix up Middle East.
I don't know the other known cards. I think maybe Portuguese is one of them, but would you consider holding Salt and then either getting Junta or getting something else that gets played, or maybe ABM if we do that first?
There are definitely interesting options with salting for ABM. That can get you up to like DEFCON 5 if you had some sort of plan for that. Not sure what to do with salt, to be honest. Be very interesting.
I might just use ABM for ops here. We don't have a really other great place to go with it. We definitely want to event Quagmire. Oh gosh. Just leaves us so bare in Europe. Warsaw Pact. That's
We
another card
haven't
I'm
seen
curious
Warsaw
about.
Pact. Yes, we haven't seen Warsaw Pact. Or Comic Con for that matter. So there are some fuel in the tank for the Soviets in Europe.
I'm wondering if Jarib is holding Warsaw, and maybe to space it here. I don't know. Do you think there's a good use for ABM out there?
Well, I mean, it's certainly worth a risk, I think, in terms of Brazil. 50-50 of turning South America um, back into control is nice. But also like Europe, Middle East, potentially, like coups into Libya, might be a good option for ABM as well.
Could be.
Certainly before Sadat, while you have adjacency.
All right. Well, Harib's keeping his foot on the gas, but he misses that coup, so we have a moment to do something else. Maybe space special here. Get that obligation out. Bartosz goes for ABM. What's he thinking to do with that?
Panama is also an option. I mean, it's a 4+. It's heavily overprotected, but there's no adjacency there, so you could do
Oh,
it. But he,
big whiff in Brazil there. Oh man, it's it's when you roll a 1, you're like, I should have used it for ops. I totally understand wanting to coup there, and that would have been a huge effect in the long term of the game. But
particularly now that, particularly with OAS,
yeah, but
but now your control, if it's going to happen, no, it's not.
Bartosz very cavalier with East Europe at this point. Maybe he's going to hold Salt in case Harib does have Warsaw. I don't know where Warsaw is, but um, I feel like that could be part of his plan here if it's a known card.
Quagmire may well draw it out as well, but he kind of really does have to event Quagmire at some point.
Yeah, probably now because you don't want to get realigned. I think I do. Okay, now things in Middle East are looking really bad. Obviously, Bartosz has some idea of what Harib is holding, um, knowing what he's hoping to get with Salt, knowing what he's hoping to trap him with Quagmire. Okay, that's not what we wanted to see, but we do manage to stop NORAD. Let's see. I think was it Portuguese, right? That's one card I don't
Yes,
think we've
Portuguese.
seen. Maybe Warsaw also. Okay, he gets out with Portuguese. Okay, and we draw 4 scorings. Oh my gosh. Oh boy.
Oof.
And into
Now,
headline peak.
yes,
Now,
into headline peak,
to be
exactly.
fair, all of these scorings are good for us.
Yes, Bartosz is happy to see them all. I think you kind of, at this stage, you just have to headline
Oh, for
one
sure.
of them.
Oh, I think we do a scoring here.
Well, maybe. I mean, Iran, that is an important one. Flipping that and getting presence back in the Middle East. Middle East is a scary situation, so maybe that is the right call. But he's going to face a turn where he's not doing very much at all.
Yeah. I mean, the expense of keeping your hand secret here. Okay. Now he's gonna, if Harib threatening war games possibly, but he's gonna be disappointed if he actually has it.
Yeah, this is one of the few situations where I'd actually be kind of glad to see the American drop the headline. That's the coup that I wasn't going to be able to really make myself to start getting those points. I think South America is the best one to lead with here.
Yep.
Asia is under threat, but South America, once Colombia is a very logical sort of target as well.
Yeah.
Tough call. Who would
I like that move. I think we hold Africa for last, probably do Asia next. Maybe, I wonder if Bartosz is thinking this might be a little bit of leveling, but if he headlined a scoring into peak, that would show Harib that he has as a hand full of scorings, or weak cards or something like that. So maybe that was part of the deception of doing Iran hostage crisis, faking him out a little bit.
Yep, and I mean it is a good event to have. Like the double powered terrorism is a nice little threat to have up your sleeve. Um, yeah, no, I do agree with that, and he's actually going to end up with quite a lot of points at the end of all of this round.
Yeah, well, fewer now. As a tiny
And
flip
that
of
was the
Lao.
rest.
Yeah. Now, would you consider flipping Indonesia or taking Taiwan, or would that be too telling? Or I guess you could flip Lao as well.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think you have to. You absolutely have to, even if it means risking your situation. There's just so many points there on the table if you do manage to take it, though. I mean, the China card is going to come out anyway.
Oh, got Milops there, but he's going to get realigned out of Cuba and probably surrender control here, although Jarib might be too scared of Ortega to actually take Cuba. I think if we do go for Dom in Asia, first I think we drop Southeast Asia for even. Disappointing. But I think I would take Taiwan because we don't have any one stabs that are imminently flippable. But if we try to flip Indonesia or Laos, Harib could just flip right back. But we're running out of ARs to do things, so.
Yes, and running out of playable cards to do them with. I mean, I would love to certainly get that Asia Dom that puts you into War Games territory. So I'd be definitely trying to play around that. And it was perhaps the only reason to play Asia ahead of South America scoring, but coulda, woulda. I don't think the play into Taiwan is enough, though. It just provokes a poke, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he could certainly stop with the poke. Now you're not flipping anyways, so I think we just start dropping these scorings. Disappointed that we didn't get that Asia Dom, but we do have 5 battlegrounds, so we'll get a net of a few points. And there's Warsaw, so now we can take Warsaw back, but I think we want to drop Asia first, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, this is a great question. I mean, without Warsaw, Europe is as weak as could be. I mean, I'm not sure that Harib needs Europe control, but it's a threat that may well paralyze Bartosz. So I think he is taking your option. Yeah, I don't think Asia really is playable. I don't think it is winnable, I should say.
Very good instincts by Harib to flip Lao at a crucial moment, giving up, causing Harib to lose 2 points to Southeast and a few more to uh, the Asia scoring. And he does take Warsaw, so, or he's thinking about it. We kind of have to do that, don't we?
I'm very much in that have to it. It's your one defense of Europe. Can we just comment the strengths of Harib's hand there as well? Quite a few 4-ups I seem to remember coming out. Um, that was very helpful for Harib in this round, particularly into some of his scoring cards.
I wonder if he's thinking like he's worried about missile envy. Like if he salts right now and gets Warsaw, missile envy just takes it away. Stopping Central
That
Dom's good.
The other thing is also baiting, perhaps
Yeah,
more influence play by Harry, because I mean Europe is scored. This Europe control
right.
is a final scoring threat. It's not an imminent threat.
Exactly. Yeah. Just invite him to take it. Salt for Warsaw. But okay, I think this is probably Lone Gunman to see if he also has terrorism here, so that's fun. But CIA, a problem. But yeah, let's see if we'll run into any problems with missile envy.
I think terrorism is a. I mean, it's a hold card for. I like terrorism on turn 10, particularly when it's double powered. I mean, Harry does have the China card, so he still will get a AR7 play.
Yeah, it's definitely a very good turn 10 play. But if he sees a lot of powerful cards in this hand, he might be tempted to use it now. Now he could also
Yes, and I
salt for
think
terrorism and do that, but that's probably a little bit much.
now that would be a wild, wild way to play.
Yeah, well, these guys, especially Jarib, as far as my memory serves, is can be a wild player, but we have to take Warsaw. There's just no question.
Yes, if you want to get past final scoring. I mean, salting for war games would also be an opportunity, or would be an option if there were a way to get those extra victory points. I don't know. Is there? Am I imagining? Am I hoping? Is there a way to get yourself 3 victory points? It doesn't seem impossible.
Yeah, it's true. That's probably another reason that we are doing Lone Gunman here. I think Gunman makes sense for a lot of reasons. Uh, give us some insight as to what our opponent is holding and what he might have to play. But all of that said, all of our scorings came out last turn, so okay. We could be a little cagey here. Man, if we hit does a 6 in Mexico give us Dom? I think it's probably one short, right?
It is one short. No, I don't think, unfortunately, this will affect the scoring in Central America. Um, ooh, Voice of America. Yes, I think terrorism may well be played this turn. We don't want to see voice go to turn 10. That's just impossible. Middle East scoring, not pleasant, but it does
Lads,
have Muslim.
Latin America debt crisis also here. If he is forced to play that, then he might lose another AR. So some interesting
Yes,
things.
you. Yeah, now this is very interesting. I think Bartosz has some interesting options in terms of sequencing here, in terms of when Muslim gets played, when terrorism gets played. He may be able to obliterate the Middle East scoring card, and if Latin American debt crisis has also kicked a card out of Harib's hand, Bartosz may have maybe one or two unresponded AR.
Yeah. Uh, you might be right. Maybe we do Muslim first. Boy, if we knock, if we hit Mexico and get a point, and Harib has to play U2 or OPEC possibly for another point, then you're getting to the place where it's there's a possibility here. But that's, of course, that is presuming that Middle East gets evened up by Muslim or knocked out of his hand by terrorism. So there's a lot of
What do you
variables
think?
here.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely a good hand to be holding gunman. I certainly wanted to see all of those cards. Um, I would you consider a coup of Lebanon?
That's also an interesting possibility. Um, I'm just trying to figure out how close we can inch to Ward Game's range. That getting a point in Mexico could help us, but Lebanon, yes, that's definitely a good target, and it would allow us to coup Libya with something. Gosh, or even possibly even drop CIA, but I don't think I'd want to do that with SALT and terrorism kind of cards that we don't want our opponent to see.
So U2 incident might be getting us a point.
Yes. Okay. Oh, and he misses that coup anyway. Goes with your Lebanon coup. So now we have to decide what we want to do.
Yes, unfortunate. Would have been nice to even potentially threaten Middle East domination. Um, yes, what do you do? I mean, Middle East is the place to score, but which card do you do with it? Do you just hope for a 6 onto into Libya or something like that?
Or you just go ahead and event Muslim right now, um, let him coup, and then take Egypt.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true, and that does actually prevent him from getting into Libya. I think Muslim may be a powerful event at this stage. And Harib is certainly forced to play Middle East at this stage, or at least believes he is.
Yeah. I don't think that's probably our best play here, is to stop his dom. And if he takes Egypt, then we coup.
Yes, then Egypt becomes a much more interesting coup because winning that coup would basically force Harib to immediately drop Middle East scoring for points against, largely because Libya would then be falling to the Soviets shortly after.
Oh, another. I didn't like that play. I think I would have just done Muslim first, made him put back in Egypt, either couped then or evented terrorism, hope to hit Middle East, because now Harib's just going to drop it and we don't have any war games chance. Yeah. I definitely
Yes,
didn't
and
mind your Lebanon coup. I thought that was pretty smart actually, but I don't think a two-op coup of Libya helped us very much.
I mean, the out was a 6 really, whereas Muslim would have been a much more secure route. I think I could have got him there. And now that Middle East has scored, Muslims are not such an interesting card anymore. But he has grabbed Warsaw, for what that's worth.
Yeah, Warsaw, definitely the card that we were. If we couldn't win on war games, it had to be Warsaw. Um,
Yes, those two coup rolls, unfortunately, did not move the dial in Bartosz's favour.
Now we have to remember that he has VOA in his hand, so terrorism needs to be strategic here. Um, Also, but if we play CIA, then Harib is going to see that we have terrorism and probably play VOA sooner. So it's kind of a catch-22 here.
Yes, I mean, I think they would have left CIA quite a little bit further back. It is tough, though. I mean, the threat is in Africa. The coups happen in Africa. So, and that's one of the precious dominations that Bartosz really wants to hold on to. But the board isn't as fantastic as he once liked it. Losing Asia Dom's not great. I mean, he's going to be able to restore a position in Europe, but it's not. He'll still be dominated there. Yeah, things not going in his favour. But turn 10 is turn 10. Who knows what could happen?
Okay, that's an interesting play. Now I might coup Lao. Since he didn't lower DEFCON, I might coup Lao here. Try to get that Asia Dom back. Just keep this coup war up for a little while. And then event terrorism. Okay. Not the worst.
Well,
Now,
no, I think that was a good call. I do agree. Like that, restoring Asia Dom is definitely the thing to do. Unfortunately, it is under salt, so dice rolls are gonna
right.
not quite a slam dunk.
The other
Now, as
thing,
Harib, you know that terrorism's coming your way. You'd have to think that VOA is under
yeah,
threat.
for
But
sure.
how do you play it?
He also
How do you
sees
play VOA?
North Sea oil, so he's hoping for a free OPEC here, um, which is another reason I might have been. Yeah, he had to play it right now. That makes total sense. Okay, now I think we just use Muslim.
Yes, as much as you'd like to continue cooing in Asia, you've got to really restore all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I think
So do you drop DEFCON now as Harib or what really?
probably because we don't want him to get another coup in Asia, unless we go ahead and coup Vietnam here. Okay, that makes sense, and that was a pretty big coup. That's it's not what you want to see as Bartosz.
Yes, the dice have just landed just marginally on Harib's side there.
We have to coup back, but we don't really have a good card to do it. I guess probably AWACS.
Yeah. I mean, North Sea oil, if you were considering to do that, and not another one.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a little bit harsh and critical of Bartosz, but he's rolled a lot of ones too, man. I find it tough when the dice seem to go against you so much, but Part of the
Yeah, it's
game.
good ideas, but no, sometimes the gods of Twilight Struggle are cruel. They are very cruel. Um, yeah. I mean, and not the oil if you were going to terrorism, but I think terrorism is now looking like a turn 10 hold, perhaps.
I would definitely event it, but yeah, probably turn 10. I wouldn't give it up here. Oh, I don't like that.
Yes, he's definitely under pressure definitely under a lot of pressure in the Middle East. The board is slipping away from Bartosz. He really like he is still up in points, not in war games range. Not that that's even an option anymore. Um, I mean, it would feel good to knock out 10 points of influence and out of Eastern Europe, but he's got to find something somewhere. He's got to flip some region, get some control.
Yeah, and this is, man, don't want to play North Sea Oil because it's going to give him an extra turn, but now he's going to, he's going to get an extra turn if we do it now because he's not discarding. Um, so that's annoying. Evil Empire, I think he just looked to see that Jarib has IP War, so he doesn't want to turn off Flower Power. So, like, he doesn't have a lot of options.
No, it's not. It's not easy for him. I do sort of think that, yeah, that was always going to happen. I do feel that maybe CIA was actually a poor call in the
Yeah,
end.
I think it did expose you way too much, this hand. Okay.
It's very hard to suggest that you want to hold on to CIA going.
No, totally understand, but I don't think there was a rush to lower DEF CON. Um, oh, this is scary in Europe already. Aldrich Ames is good, but I don't tend to like headlining it. South African could give us Dom back or help give us Dom back in Africa. A more manageable coup on Angola, but we are in trouble in Europe also. Trouble in a lot of places, but Europe is the big one.
Yes, I mean, if you do South African, you could leave the coup then, sort of force him to by putting two into Angola, you kind of force him to either coup Angola back, threaten
Yeah.
to take it by influence otherwise. Because you do want to repair Europe. Europe's not looking great. I don't know. Is there enough firepower here to pull something off? There's no DEFCON threats for that Harib has to suffer. Lone gunman's gone. Um, yeah, I mean, what
Ooh,
do you do? Aldrich,
goes
apparently.
to the Aldrich. Like I said, I don't usually like headlining that, but that's could catch something good if he has multiple good hands in his cards in his hand.
Yes, into headline peak,
Yeah,
it is a bit of a tough one.
that's what I hate. That play right there. I think South African was more manageable, and now we have a bigger coup, and he does get it, even without South African. So that's nice. See if it gets flipped right back here.
Yes, it needs to be flipped with a four up, otherwise South Africa's going to make a meal of it. Um, yeah, again, I mean, the board is it's still not good for him. It's really has to turn something around somewhere. We're looking at realignment. Are there situations where we can get some hero realignments to change the world?
Ooh, that is painful here. Yeah, gosh. Realignments could be useful, but now we're. Oh, another card.
What a card to hit. 10, 10.
Yeah.
Well, I think I hate to call it so soon, but I'm not feeling that Bartosz has many options left.
Yeah, that getting Ames defectored, getting purged, and then getting 5-year plan and North Sea oil. Yeah, this was a brutal string of things. Now he probably had only a slim chance even without all those things happening, but that just really hurts. think yeah, this makes a lot of sense. You might want to overprotect Poland first, but again, I don't see much of a path here. Anyways, I might also put one more op into Iraq and try to invent Iran-Iraq war to get something there, but playing all these cards.
Doesn't even have 10 minutes on the clock for Jarib, so that's not really going to be a strat for him either. He's not going to flag out. I'm going to curse to the commentator. I'm going to call this for Jarib at this stage, and it looks like Jarib's going to go through undefeated. Still in RTSL, looking very strong for the crown.
Oh my goodness, what a hand. This is an amazing turn 10 hand for Jarib. Okay, it does miss with the brush war. Yeah, it does. I mean, to be fair, though, it's 5, 9, 6 on the boards. Bartosz has got 15. What does Jarib have? 6 in Europe. Okay, that helps. 6 in Europe, 4 in Middle East.
And the China card, yes, you're right. Like in terms of the board, I think it was almost even. I'm really sort of looking at the last, having those 2 final card plays for the US is such a huge advantage in terms of being able to swing another 4 or 5 points at the end of the game.
Bartosz thinking about solidarity, I think, here. But it's going to require a couple of ops to do anything about that. I might play Evil Empire here.
Yeah, I think that's your solidarity defense, unfortunately.
Okay, that had to be spaced. You don't want to give up 3 points. Every point matters here. Yep. Now, if he does play, I mean, he's going to have a couple final plays, so you can't really defend against solidarity because he can still poke. Yeah, those final
and
two.
This round poke is also going to be a huge problem for him as well.
Yeah, because he's going to have back-to-back ARs at the end.
Yes, maybe a few less ones, or maybe he should have played his ones into the space race rather than into his 4-up coup. That might have solved issues for Bartosz.
Yeah, and man, I know that taking Iran was important, but I might not have done it with terrorism. That could have been a really powerful card.
Yes, particularly on that turn when everything was known. So, yeah, turn 9 I think was quite possibly a very critical turn. Yeah, could have changed a lot of things, but I don't think it was to be.
So,
I mean, there are points from eventing the Iran-Iraq war, but that's not going to change the situation, unfortunately.
I mean, true. With 2 final ARs, I think Jarib can pull this off. But let's just add this up. I think 2 plus 3 for Asia is 5, plus 4 more for Africa is 9, and then 5 more currently for South America is 14 to Jarib's 4 for Middle East, 1 for China card, 6 for Europe. So he's down by like 4 or 5, Jarib is. Oh, that's a big coup. So that changes. That's a 3-point coup. Yeah, I think it's closer than we're making it out to be, but with Bartosz purged all turn and Jarib having 2 more ARs. Okay, that was a good coup. But yeah, we see solidarity here. He's definitely going to event that. Could double poke in Africa to stop Dom there. Could leave him presenceless in Middle East. Could get Dom in Central and poke Cuba. There's so many ways that Jarib can make big points quick. So I think you're right that.
Yes, I don't think that Jarib is holding on to any sort of difficult cards. Really, if he had difficult cards, knowing that he had the extra action rounds at the end of the turn, he would have got rid of those in the middle of would have got rid of those in the middle of the round. Yeah, because you want to take advantage of these two ARs to really. Bartosz acknowledging he wasn't very happy with his play on turn 10.
Yeah, Jarib said that. Bartosz lamenting the fact that he lost Asia Dom, or he messed up Asia a couple times. I mean, from our
an
side,
extra
it
point
seemed
in
like
Laos would have made all the difference.
yeah, twice for Southeast and Asia.
Yes, it has been. It has been a very close game, and there are certain sort of calls in terms of certain plays that might have considered, be it how to play Muslim, perhaps like you suggested on turn 9, or even just rolling. I should stop talking about rolling. But there's certainly a lot of choices that they had. Timing on the scoring cards, even when he had all 4 of them. Whether or not to play Africa or Asia first. I think there were a couple of times when he managed to trip himself up there. This could have been, could easily have, well, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say, but did Bartosz lose this game?
Man, it's going to be close enough that there could have been a couple tweaks, couple things different. When he waited to score Asia turn 8 or 9, whatever it was, that's like a 4 point difference. I don't think he had to rush on as much on South and Africa in that situation, but he decided to go that route. So there's always things that could be done differently. Jarib, like I said, he also complained, like saying he's played this turn wrong, so wondering what he would have done differently as well.
Well, now this is interesting. Do you think that maybe he has? Have I been wrong? Does he have 2 unplayable cards left in his hand that he thought he had time to play? I'm not really sure.
I don't know what they would be. I mean, Ortega playable right now because he doesn't have any ops in. He does. I guess he does have ops in Cuba, so that would be an unplayable.
Ortega's gone, so that's
Oh, is
not.
it? Yeah.
That's
Okay.
not actually an issue. Yes, that was in Bartosz's hand.
I mean, Jarib is clearly counting here and worried about something. Maybe he has decall. I'm just trying to think of other things that could be a problem here.
What could really problem? Are there's any cards that could give big points to Bartosz? I'm not sure. China card is
Pershing,
China cards are easy. Yeah, Pershing would be unfortunate. You'd still be in a position to see what the problem here is.
That's not a problem at all. I'm not sure why it took so long with that, but
well, he's got time and he wants to be sure. You'd hate
sure.
to screw this up after a game like this.
Exactly. Yeah. When you have time on your clock,
and it is very easy. It is very easy, sorry, to sit in the commentator's chair and say what should be played and what shouldn't on the board. It is a much harder thing to do, and there we have it.
1-3. Wow. Okay. So that was an intense game. Well played by both players. It came down to the wire more than I think you and I both expected it to. That was intense.
Yes, I wrote Bartosz off a little bit too soon there. That was a much closer game, and I even thought turn Ted was dead and buried with Red Cap Purge and Defectors. But this could have gone either way, and there were decisions that that were valid in both cases. It's played out differently.
It's also always a little bit bitter to complain about your own situation, but I want to complain on behalf of Bartosz a little bit. He rolled some very bad ones, and he also had one turn with 3 scorings and another turn with 4 scorings in his hand. Now, they were good for him, I will say that, but that does really weaken your progress in terms of expansion and flipping and defending and stuff. So, man, it was well
yes,
thought.
I agree. That turn with 4 hands was Yeah, I agree with that turn with four scoring cards. It was very difficult. That was the turn that he lost domination in Asia, which was certainly critical. Yeah, well fought game. Excellent game. Two master players, and yeah, really playing at the top of their games.
Yeah, well, again, we thank you, the viewer, for joining us for this one. It was pretty exciting. Like I said, two top tier players clashing for to stay in or to win the RTSL. So thanks a lot for joining along, and thanks to you, Aidan, for participating. Any final thoughts before we bid farewell?
Oh, well, I'm just sort of impressed again at how well they managed to keep the game alive in spite of what to us here in the commentary booth looked like some pretty serious swing. Yeah, no, great quality play.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for joining me, and we'll catch you in the next ARZ. This is Francie Pants and Aidan Archer signing out. Have a good one, everybody.